When you hear the word immigrant, what do you think of? Do you think of someone who looks like me? Or do you think of this? If you answered the latter, why? My next question for you is, if you think the latter, then what media have you been consuming? What news outlets have you been watching? What politicians have you been listening to? Because I can almost guarantee you that if you answered the latter, you are probably getting your information from GB News, the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, Nigel Farage, X, or Facebook. These are just some of the sources that have been consistently perpetuating misinformation about immigration for years. I am an immigrant to the UK because I moved abroad permanently. That's literally the definition of an immigrant. But when I talk to a lot of British people about immigration, they don't view me as an immigrant. Now, I've been making content about immigration for a while now on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and I've talked to a lot of people who believe a lot of this misinformation about immigration. And the reason I know it's misinformation is because I am an immigrant myself. The reason I started talking about immigration on TikTok was because I kept seeing misinformation about immigration. And being an immigrant myself, I knew it was misinformation because I lived the experience of an immigrant. So if someone said that immigrants don't pay for the NHS, I knew that was a lie because I have paid for the NHS, both through the NHS surcharge and also through my taxes. But a lot of the times, people don't mean me or even visa immigration. When they talk about immigration, they just mean asylum seekers on the boats, which is a very small percentage of immigration. I've already made a video debunking asylum myths, so I don't want to linger on that too much. I want to focus on visa immigration and indefinite leave to remain, because indefinite leave to remain has been a focus in recent months. It's been very interesting seeing the same people who told me that it's not about legal immigration, it's about illegal immigration, switch their goalpost to mean legal visa immigration now that Nigel Farage has come out and attacked indefinite leave to remain. Of course, many of these people do not know what indefinite leave to remain is or how you would be eligible to even apply for indefinite leave to remain. So what is indefinite leave to remain? Indefinite leave to remain allows an immigrant who has been here for a minimum of 5 years, paid their taxes, paid excessive visa fees and NHS surcharge fees. It allows them to live in the UK indefinitely without having to get citizenship. Many other countries, including the US, has something similar to indefinite leave to remain. The US calls it permanent residency. And interestingly enough, a lot of people that I have talked to about indefinite leave to remain who support Nigel Farage's plan to abolish it believe that the US has also done the same. The US has not abolished their indefinite leave to remain or permanent residency program. The US is mainly going after quote unquote illegal immigrants, which I don't want to get into right now because that's a whole other thing. But they still have their permanent residency program. So if the UK were to abolish it completely, they would be an outlier in the Western world. Now, you might ask yourself, but why can't people on indefinite leave to remain just get citizenship? There are many reasons for that. One being that there are many countries that don't offer dual citizenship. Not everybody on indefinite leave to remain can apply for citizenship because they would risk losing the citizenship of their home country. Perhaps they want to go back to their home country to retire. Perhaps they want to pass their citizenship on to their kids so their kids have options. Another reason, especially for EU citizens, many of whom have stronger passports than the UK's, they don't want to get citizenship because there's no point. It doesn't benefit them at all. They already have stronger passports than the UK could offer them. Applying for citizenship is expensive. You have to take the Life in the UK test. You have to take the English language test, which now the Labour government is making more advanced. All of these things cost money. Citizenship, the Life in the UK test, and the English language test. They all cost money. And you have to prepare for them. You have to study for them. So it's not just, paying money. It's a lot of stress. So if you're an EU citizen living and working in the UK, there's no point to apply for citizenship. The next thing I want to talk about is benefits, because that is a huge minefield of misinformation.
Far too many that have come don't work, have never worked, and never will work. You start to get a massive benefits bill.
Now, a big reason as to why Nigel Farage wants to abolish indefinite leave to remain is because he doesn't want immigrants claiming benefits. I have a huge problem with this mentality because it really dehumanizes immigrants. The vast majority of immigrants are not eligible to claim benefits until we have been here for a minimum of 5 years. And that is soon to be 10 years because Labour are extending indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years. So we are not eligible to claim benefits. When we come to the UK, we have to prove that we have enough funds in our bank account. If we're coming on a work visa, we have to have an employer sponsorship. If we're coming on a family visa, our partner is not eligible to claim benefits either. So it's already very difficult and expensive for immigrants to come to the UK. There are a very small percentage of immigrants who are allowed to claim state support right from the get-go. Those include asylum seekers and refugees, and those who are eligible because of humanitarian reasons, such as victims of domestic abuse. And to apply for indefinite leave to remain, you have to prove, if you are on a work visa, that you are still needed in your employment. You have to prove funds in your bank account to prove that you won't be needing benefits. And you also have to pay over $3,000 to get indefinite leave to remain, so it's not cheap. But the claim that all of these immigrants are claiming benefits misses out on some essential context. One being, someone could be considered a foreign national for decades. So if you came over to the UK as a kid, if you went through school in the UK, if you worked all of your life and then got the state pension, that would be classed as a benefit. So you'd be a foreigner claiming a benefit. And yes, the state pension is officially classed as a benefit. It's not a money pot that you pay into all of your working life to be able to claim it when you retire. The way it works is like any other benefit, it is funded through taxes. When it comes to foreigners claiming universal credit, the vast majority of them are EU citizens who were granted settlement as part of Brexit. 4.24 million EU citizens received settled status and full benefit access as a part of Brexit. The majority of universal credit claimants are EU citizens. EU citizens are also far more likely to be employed than British-born citizens. This is actually the case for all immigrants. The most recent data from September 2025 states that approximately 81.5% of people born in the European Union but living in the UK were employed, compared with 74.6% for the UK-born population and 75.6% for people outside the EU and UK. So immigrants overall are more likely to be employed than British-born citizens. There has been a sharp increase of not just foreign nationals, but British-born citizens needing and claiming benefits. But what I find so interesting about this subject is that the conversation has successfully shifted away from more people overall needing to claim benefits and the reasons why that is, to immigrants claiming benefits. Because if we are focused on immigrants claiming benefits, then we are not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that across the country, more and more people are needing to claim benefits because of the cost of living crisis. But also, the media and politicians have successfully blamed immigrants for creating the cost of living crisis, because apparently we are hogging NHS beds, we are hogging housing, we are stealing jobs, we are stealing benefits. So again, you have the media and politicians blaming and scapegoating immigrants for a problem that immigrants did not create. And I can go into every single detail as to why immigrants are not responsible for the issues that I just stated, but I'm going to make it very short and simple. The reason for the cost of living crisis is because of neoliberal policies. Decades of neoliberal policies since Thatcher that privatized essential services and created vast inequality. Not enough social homes have been built since Thatcher sold them off in the 80s. Corporations are swooping in, buying up property and monopolizing the housing market, which makes housing more expensive. The NHS has been chronically underfunded in a time when we need the NHS the most because of an increased aging population. By the way, this isn't just a UK problem. This problem is happening across the West. You could go to Australia, Canada, the US. They're all dealing with the same issues. Wages have not kept up with inflation. Meanwhile, corporations are making record profits. And the people who benefit the most from neoliberal policies own the media. So they're creating a false narrative. They're creating a scapegoat. And now the Overton window has shifted so much that you have Tory MPs calling for remigration, telling legal immigrants that they're supposed to go home because they don't fit the perfect definition of what a British citizen is supposed to be, is fascism. We have politicians now perpetuating the Great Replacement theory, which is a theory that was used by the Nazis as a way to get German citizens to hate Jews. Just like the Nazis did, these politicians are exploiting people's fear and anger in order to get support. Not to mention, private media companies have the aim to make as much money as possible, and the best way to do that is to exploit fear and anger.
I would spend a lot of time at focus groups. The Sun readership was white, male, and if you had images on the front of the paper of people who were not white, coming from parts of the world that our readers would have no understanding of, the emotion that would elicit from our readers was fear. That comes from racism. I don't know these people. They may harm me, they may harm my family. These tropes, they're manna from heaven. Because not only do they get everybody going, they sell. They sell.
I'm in Victoria Park right now. I used to live in this area when I first moved to London. I used to live in Tower Hamlets, and I loved living here. I had no issues living here. I loved the multiculturalism. I loved everything about living in Tower Hamlets. There's so much to do in Tower Hamlets. You have Brick Lane, you have Shoreditch. This borough is amazing for so many reasons, but it wasn't until I moved out of Tower Hamlets when I had English people telling me that the area I used to live in was a no-go zone and it was dangerous. I was so confused because I never felt in danger at all living here. But the people who kept telling me that the place I used to live in was dangerous had never actually been to Tower Hamlets. London is often painted as the cesspit of danger, and it's not. Actually, crime is on a decline. The murder rate is on a decline. London is safer than many other major cities. Crime overall in the UK is actually on a 30-year decline. But our perception of crime has changed because we have more access to news. We have it on social media. We are constantly informed about what's happening. So because of that, we see more crime than we would have seen 30 years ago. Also, when it comes to rapes and sexual assaults, thanks to recent movements like the Me Too movement, women are a lot more confident now reporting their rapes than they were 30 years ago. So according to rape statistics, it might seem like rape and sexual assaults are on an increase, but actually more women are just reporting them. Certain media companies and politicians want you to believe that immigrants are more of a danger than British-born citizens, and there's actually no real data for that. Any data available for that is misconstrued or missing key metrics. They won't show you the positives of immigration. They won't show you the immigrants that are working tirelessly to help make this nation a better place. All they do is focus on the negatives, and that is strategic because fear sells. Fear and anger are the most profitable emotions, especially in the age of social media when it's so easy to read a shocking headline and share it to all of your followers or all of your friends on Facebook. They're exploiting your fear and anger by telling you to hate immigrants who are not responsible for your suffering.